be agreed to, and I call the member for Layla.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And one of the joys of being a resident of the electorate of Lalor is taking a drive from the growth corridor that we are, situated 25 k's from the CBD, taking a drive down to Werribee South to our agricultural precinct. And I did this on the weekend and was in Werribee South again on Monday. And on the weekend, I wasn't surprised to see farmers out working on their farms. I wasn't surprised at all. But what I was surprised by was that there were crops that had obviously been harvested, but there were still lettuces left in the paddocks. When I met with farmers on Tuesday morning, I asked them about this, to hear that because of the high salinity in the water that we're using in Werribee South, it is becoming more and more difficult to get 100% harvest of those crops, and was told that many farmers across the district had only, in fact, harvested 60% of their crops on the most recent crop, Deputy Speaker. And it brings me to that point which I've spoken on now several times, and that is water security for the Werribee South vegetable growers, water security for the southwest of Victoria. I met this week with Michael and Andrew Fragapani. They grow 4 crops a year. They are trying to plan next year's crops 12 months in advance to order the seed, but with a 15% allocation for this year of their water and possibly 5% next year. They are planning in a vacuum. They have, however, made huge investments, like many of our growers, huge investments in modernising their methods and modernising the equipment that they use. And they are making these investments with a faith that in this country solutions will be found to the water issues for Werribee South. They worry at night as to how much money they should invest in their business and about the uncertain future they face. Deputy Speaker, I have called on the member for New England, the Deputy Prime Minister, on several occasions now to seriously look at Victoria's water issues, to seriously look not just at the modernisation proposal for the channels in the Werribee Irrigation District, but to look beyond that to longer-term solutions, long-term solutions that will ensure that Victoria can continue to grow vegetables eaten across this country, to ensure that we can develop markets in China and other countries to grow these businesses. We are talking about 3,000 hectares in Werribee, 4 crops a year that supply 75% of the lettuce across this country, Deputy Speaker. This is a $100 million industry, 1,000 jobs a day in Werribee South, and they need answers to serious questions. And I would refer to Foodprint Melbourne, who released a paper last week suggesting that the use of recycled water is the answer for the farms not only in Werribee South but across Victoria. Werribee South, of course, embraced the use of recycled water. They have stepped out, they've embraced the science, and they are using recycled water on their farms. They should be lauded for this, and we should support the infrastructure development to ensure that we can make better use of the recycled water in Melbourne. At the moment, it takes 475 litres of water per person per day to grow the vegetables. It is getting drier and farmers are running out of water. There are 2 main water treatment plants in Melbourne, both of which produce recycled water. This is from Foodprint Melbourne's information. 84% of the recycled water is discharged to the ocean. We need the federal government to really take seriously these issues in Victoria, to make a commitment to the water infrastructure that is required, to look seriously at the science, at how we can maximise the use of that recycled water, to ensure that Victoria can continue to be the food bowl of this country and become the food bowl of Southeast Asia, Deputy Speaker. I know that when I meet with the farmers at Werribee South, they know that I will continue to stand here in the federal parliament and call for this support. I will work with my state colleagues. I will work with local government as well. We need a concerted effort to get them sustainable, affordable water so that they can continue to grow their vegetables.
I thank the member